what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? True Funk soldiers out there, the world unite for peace and love. How y'all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Funk Music with Zack, brought to you live on IBM.TV. Our sponsors, the dollar store. So y'all go ahead and check that out when you hit the IBM.TV website. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. But before we do that, I want to give a few special shouts out to all my true funk soldiers out there, all my club funketeers. We down with Bootsy Collins and Patty Collins, and we making that thing work for Bootsy's birthday bash, October 23rd. Today, we're going to have some reruns of some special moments of funk music with Zack, and we're going to chill out and just relax, and I'm going to pull up some clips from William Bush, pull up some clips from John Groovalicious Willis, and pull up some clips from one of my favorite bands, Rasta Funk. I'd like to give mad shouts out to all my producers, especially my producer today on the show, Mr. Mark Lee, the man behind the glass, the man with the plan, the brothership from the mothership, Mr. Mark Lee back there kicking it real. How y'all doing out there? If you got a birthday today, or if you got an anniversary today, or God forbid you lost someone to this terrible disease that's out there, my blessings and peace-loving offerings are to you, my good people. This show is really cool today because as we get into this election season and this election year, we're going to be talking a little bit more about stuff like that. But I wanted to bring up a few clips of the best of series. We're going to do a 3-part series starting today right here on IBM.TV, Funk Music with Zack. And we're going to just be looking back at some past shows and some of the best moments of some of the past shows that we've done throughout this summer. So know that I love you. Know that we're down with you 100%. Know that we feel your pain. Know that right here on Funk Music with Zack, I understand if you have going through some emotional stuff, if you are going through anything that's negative, we're going to take that negative and spin that negative thing into a positive. Like Bootsy Collins said, take something and make it nothing out of something. That's what we're going to do. Make something out of nothing. Yeah, we're going to make that happen all year long. And don't forget, there's brand new music out there by my brothers, Next Exit. They were on the show yesterday, hanging out, chilling with us. They dropped their new music. There's brand new music out there, again, like I said, by Bootsy Collins, October 23rd, The Power of the One. And we're going to be watching that video at the end of the show today, too. So y'all sit back, kick it, relax, grab yourself some water, make sure you stay hydrated, make sure that you wear your mask, cover your face up, make sure that you have your hand sanitizer, keep your social distance. You know how Sir Knows devoid of funk is. They want you to stay back. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your family, and know that we love you out there. And to my daughters, Kayla and Maya, it's National Daughter Day. And actually, we made that a week here at IBM. And I just want to give mad shouts out to anybody that has a daughter, anybody that has nieces, anybody that's an aunt or an uncle, and there's girls in your life, young ladies, grown women. It doesn't matter their age. If they're your daughter, or if they're close to you like a daughter and a father figure or an uncle figure, know that we are there for them. Again, shouts out to my beautiful babies, Kayla and Maya. National Daughters Day was this week. If you got a birthday out there, again, happy birthday. Mad shouts out to Michael Get Down Brown. It was his birthday. So, yeah, we're going to kick it right now. We got the best of. I think we got a video coming up, some clips, and I'm going to let it, my man back there, Mark Lee, I'm going to let it do what it do, baby. All right, Funk Music with Zack. Boom. Take it away, Mark. Welcome to Funk Music with Zack right here on IBM.TV. I got the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Mr. William Bush with me today. We're going to be getting into some things. He's going to treat us to a few of his new songs and some stuff that he's working on in the studio. You listen to one of his cuts right now, one of my favorite cuts off one of my favorite CDs, because this is what I listen to. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, I wanted to just bring you on with this because I can see already your memory. Here we are, Funk Music with Zack, live on IBM.TV. I have in the house today, peace and blessings, my brother, my savior in the music business, producer on some of my stuff, amazing man, father, husband, all that good stuff, man. Mentor to me. All of that rolled into one fellow New Yorker.
Brother.
All of it. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, Mr. William Bush, I'm live on Funk Music with Zack. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right, man. What you been up to?
AKA Prez, my main man, my funk brother, and all that good stuff right here on IBM.TV, hanging out with us today. And he's going to play some of his new music, some music for us in a little bit. But getting back to your quote about being an influencer for the young kids, we've always had that mindset, but we had to kind of do it a little differently. And now with social media, which is something I wanted to ask you about, because of our current situation, social media now has become the new quote unquote platform. It already was in a way, but people were still able to go do live stuff. So with the live stuff still teetering about where do you see going forward music and social media becoming even more of a match? You know what I mean?
Well,
Pat says hi, by the way. Pat Dioria says hello, Miss Pat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Pat, how you doing? It's, technology is going to take us to the point where we have this going on. We have a lot of people that if you go on YouTube, personally, I think YouTube is more interesting than the radio. Because you can find new artists. You're allowed to be new and be different and everything, because of technology. And so now you have people giving these concerts from home. At first, when the lockdown first happened, you saw people hanging, like drapes in their living room to create a little stage and everything. Last night I was watching something by Brian Culbertson, the keyboard player, and he was in his studio, and it was like really the production value was very high. So that is going to be a new thing. Now the issue is how for musicians, how do we monetize that?
How do we get paid? Yep.
Yeah, we shouldn't. We can't give everything away.
Yep.
In the spirit, a friend of mine, a fantastic vocalist, Vinx. His name is Vinx. He lives in France. I did his last album, and he used to work with Sting. He was in Sting's band for a minute, but he was signed to his label, and he used to open shows for him. Fantastic vocalist and percussionist, And when all this stuff first happened, he was like, "Look, he created a show." He still has it every week, 2 drink minimum. Every week he goes on there and he shares his music, and he's done so many things. But he was like, "Yo, you don't have to pay for anything because nobody's making money. Look, just come and listen, enjoy." And we have a responsibility to do that. But at some point, we have to figure out how to monetize it because everybody else is monetizing us.
Yep. Yes, exactly. And I know that's something you've always been big on, and I really appreciate it. And I learned a lot from you in the business about that. So let's get into your background a little bit. Tell me a little bit about how, what you were into and how you came up and, how you got to be the guy that you are right here in front of me right now. What are some of the things you was into, bro?
Well, first of all, when I was younger, I was more into art than music. Mm-hmm. And my brother, we moved from Queens, New York to Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Right.
And we got a phone call and someone was offering my brother free organ lessons. And he's older by a year and change, year and a half or something like that. And so we're pretty close together in age. So anything that he had, I just had to have. So I wasn't gonna let that slide. So he got free organ lessons. They gave him a month, right? So somehow my mother talked him into doing that for me as well. So we had 4 weeks, And at 4
Right.
weeks, they would give you a test to see if you were any good. And so at the end of the 4 weeks, they gave him a test. He was like, whatever. And then I took the test and I got a perfect score. And they were like, well, he should keep going. And so, I started playing the organ. And this was Bridgeport, Connecticut. So you had two choices. If you wanted to play any kind of keyboard, it was the organ or the accordion.
I feel you. Right. Obvious choice.
So it was the organ. It was the organ,
Yeah.
And I didn't, so I started playing that, and I was not really, really aware of funk yet. But then a friend of mine, Daryl, he was a year older than I was. He was in the next grade up. We used to hang around with him, and he played this record. Let me get that. It's kind of slipping. He played a record by this group, and I was like, wow, this look crazy. It was Parliament Funkadelic.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't even know who they are, but whatever they got, I want some of that. They look like that picture where you got Mike Hampton, you got Gary, he's got the glasses on.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
there. They got some makeup, like tribal kind of makeup in it. It's a black and white picture. I saw that, I pretty much lost my mind.
Yeah.
After that, it's called This Old House.
And I know we lost him recently, and I remember when you was going through that, man, and my condolences, I know what that's like, and it's beautiful that you did something for your dad, man. That's a beautiful thing, It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Here we are, Funk Music with Zack, live with William Bush on IBM.TV, giving us an exclusive from New York. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. All right, there we go.
new stuff coming out. What's the title, or do you have a title for your new CD yet?
So the song that I didn't play, I Wonder, that's out now. So you can look for it on iTunes or wherever. I Wonder, William Michael Bush. And
Okay.
The reason I gave my full name, that's a dedication to my parents.
Right.
Everyone else knows me as Prez, and that's cool. But I think when I do my instrumental stuff, it'll be William Michael Bush. When I do the more funky compositions, that's gonna be regular Prez stuff. And we didn't even talk about the gospel stuff. But,
we didn't get into that. Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what?
It's just music.
Yeah, it is. It is all music. So believe me, I have a whole collection of CDs. So when musicians that I listen to, you're in that. You, Jeff, Kevin, John. That's the stuff I listen to when I'm not listening to P-Funk or Dumpster Funk or Earth, Wind or Chaka Khan or whatever, Mother's Finest. But again, it's been a pleasure, and we're going to sit here and chat until, we move on a little bit. But I just wanted to tell people, you're an amazing musician, artist, father, brother, teacher, minister of music, all that good stuff rolled into one, brother. And I'm honored to have you as my brother and my friend, man. Let me tell you, I'm honored, man. And I just want you and your family to stay safe up there. And, we're always going to keep you in our prayers. We all have to do that. And I love what you said to the young people, about responsibility that we have to music, and to make a point of it, If you had one last thing to say that you were going to tell people out there today, and it could be about anything, what would you want the essence of what we talked about today to be to these young people out there?
Well, that probably would be a little bit different, or I'd go a little further. If I was talking to young people, I would say that you guys don't realize how powerful you are. We were all born with power. It takes us a while to recognize it. Some of us longer than others, but we're born with a certain power. We're born with a light, let's call it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think young people need to get used to shining, because this is when you shine, and this is these are really not my words. It was a famous poem, Our Deepest Fear. She says that you shining will give other people permission to shine.
Right.
And that's what we need to do. If we present the best version of ourselves, we can possibly encourage other people to do the same. And if we're busy shining and presenting the best possible version of ourselves, we don't have room or time for all of this negativity that happens when you're not busy improving yourself. So young people have a lot at their fingertips. They have technology, know better than we do. They have all of these kind of ends, and they need to take advantage of them. Even like, this age of protests and everything, this is an opportunity for young people to, whatever you believe in, to actually let your voice be heard. So live up to your potential, shine your light, and then you can possibly encourage other people to shine as well.
Yo, you got. Yeah. That was my man, William Bush. I wanted to get that message in. Live your life. Let your light be a beacon of others. That song that he wrote, by the way, was for his father. Off that new CD, he was telling me and telling us, the audience, that he wrote a song for each member of his family, which I just think is so mad cool. Again, that was William Bush. Excerpts today, on Funk Music with Zack, as we hang out and get into some of the more deeper parts. This is the first of a 3-part series, so we're going to make sure we get as many people on to double back, and I'll pick out some choice comments and words that they made, all positive, only positive affirmation right here on Funk Music with Zack. Again, man, shouts out to everybody that's tuning in, watching IBM.TV. Please support our sponsors. Go to the IBM.TV website and check out, the dollar store, with Lynn Shepard, and, make sure that you try to support anything that's independent in this day and age, in this world, because that's where we are today. Make sure if you have any issues that are pressing on your heart, you reach out to me and I'll make sure I get back to you. You can always find me on Facebook somewhere out there, doing what I do and making sure that we get the Nappy Head Funk Army, my band, up and running. Again, here we are, live, but we're showing clips, the greatest of, Funk Music with Zack on IBM.TV right here at 12 o'clock p.m. today. We're just chilling out, hanging out. Again, thank you, Mark Lee, my producer. Thank you, Ankit, for putting this together. This next brother that we got on is none other than Mr. John Groovalicious Willis. And he's going to, be telling us about his new project that he dropped out. This was 2 months ago, and, it's doing very well. John is one of the guitar players at Nappy Head, as well as he's got his own thing, the Groovalicious Project. We love you, John, one of my favorite guitar players out there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, hanging out with us on Funk Music with Zack on IBM.TV. So I'm going to let Mark, my producer, go ahead and run that clip, Mark, and I'm going to sit back and check it out. How did it originate? When the release date? We're going to chop it up, and then I want to hear this first cut in a minute. But tell us a little bit about the first song and the project, and before we hear you play the first one.
Okay, well, the project started with basically just wanting to do a wide variety of music because when you play in certain bands or certain units, you play whatever that unit's focus is.
Correct.
And,
yeah.
Over the years, I've kind of got this moniker for being a real funk cat, and realized that funk comes in so many shapes and forms. So if I put the project together, I would be able to just reveal that some other things I do, some smooth jazz, some funk, some R&B, some rock ballads, things like that. And the funny part is that if you strip these tracks down, the funk is all in there.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine.
So I actually had some fun putting together the unplugged tracks because I got to pull out the pieces that I really liked. And I was like, man,
right. Yeah.
A nice groove going on, man.
Okay. What's the name of this first song that you're going to play for us?
First song I'm going to do for you is a tune called 2 a.m. 2
a.m.? Okay. Now, besides the obvious, you was up at 2 a.m. writing it. What? And I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure. But what is it the song about, and where did you come up with that title?
Well, when you're gigging, 2 a.m. is usually the sweet spot on the gig, man.
Yes.
That's you've already got the jitters out. Everyone's warmed up. Everyone's had a few drinks. Everyone's cruising with you. 2 a.m. is the moment.
I love that analogy. That's beautiful. That's so sweet. See, that's the kind of stuff that I could only get from you, the pearls of wisdom.
You have to be there.
Spot. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the sweet spot. Boy, do I miss the sweet spot.
Oh, yeah, we all do, man. I can't wait to get back to the stage.
Yeah, man. All right, so we got a little bit on that, the sweet spot. Yo, let's hear that song, man. 2 a.m.
All right. Let's hope that all of the sounds and levels are good.
It'll be all right, man.
And coming at you.
Turn the track up. Yo, that's what's up, man. And you can pump that track more too. The next song, you can turn the track up. Yeah, man. Yo, that's tight. We're gonna dissect that right there. I was telling Kim, and Kid about the one
project.com. And just in case you're wondering the spelling, that's GROOVALIC.
Yeah, I keep ER. My bad.
Yeah, that's okay.
My bad.
So there's the GrooveAlicious.project.com. The Groovealicious Project at Facebook page. Also the Groovealicious Project at HereNow.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful, man. It's so good to see your smiling face, man. I'm just like having all of these plethora of emotions, bro. I'm going through it, but it just does my heart good. Your new music is awesome. What you do is awesome. You're a beautiful human being, man. So hit us with the name of this next track. Munchies?
No, the actual name of it is the Butterfly Effect.
Butterfly Effect.
The Butterfly.
I like that. Okay, and turn the track up, bro.
Okay, you got it. Hang tight.
Yo, off the hook. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, bro. You're too kind.
Too kind. Oh my goodness. Off the hook. The butterfly. What'd you say? The butterfly?
The butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. Yo.
Yeah.
Yo. Off the hook. Yo, I'm wearing my New York stuff for you today, but and my Queens. So what? Yeah. Yo, brother, words. I got goosebumps. You can see. Yo, I ain't kidding. I got it. There they are. I got goop. Yo, I'm sitting here sweating. I'm like, let me tell you. First of all, the song itself, the title is insane, and the bottom, the groove is just sitting there, and I can see how you portrayed your feelings for your wife in that song, in that solo. Oh my goodness, that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing, man, and I can see that like going straight to the top of every chart, everywhere, wherever, all around the world. The beautiful part about shows like this and the other venues that you're going to be on, your music covers everything. That song can be everywhere. It can be everywhere, man. That. Whoa, my goodness. I know right now. You're that feeling inside, but I can see in the corner of my eye Kevin over there smiling somewhere. I can feel him. Yeah. He ain't even here. He's in Philly. I'm in North Carolina. I can feel that pride thing, man. You guys should be extremely proud. You, first of all, should be extremely proud of what you're doing with your music and just that sound. That sound. That's you. Nobody's doing that on this planet. Ever will, ever has, ever will. That style. I am. I got so many emotions to talk about that music and that drive and that track, because the title and how you said it came about. When you was laying it down, you said you put that down in one take.
Yeah, that was one take. Usually, and I actually had planned to go into the studio and re-record it. It was a reference track, and what you hear on the CD was the first take, done in the bedroom.
Do not change that.
There was so many moments like that during this whole project where I'm like, okay, here's the pre-production tracks, and I'm ready to re-record things. And quite often, producer and engineer was like, why would you change that, man? I think it's just the way it is.
I know, because I'm listening to it, and I was picturing you like laying there. I'm like, okay, there's been stories of cats that's done stuff like that. And the story of James Jamerson laying on his back playing Marvin Gaye, what's going on after he was, coming home from a late night. And I'm trying to picture you just doing that. And I'm like, man, that's divine. That's nothing but divinity right there. The funk guys and the man upstairs said, listen, boom, I want you to play this for me. You playing that for him. That track ain't for none of us. I heard like how you moaned for Eddie Hazel in there and Hendrix. I heard that. I heard how you played your little signature amateurs to the cats that you just mentioned before, and still put yourself into it. Because I heard it. It's like, that's all groove. That's like, oh my God. I'm shook up for the rest of the day, bro. I'm shook up. I'm shook up. Where do I go from there? I want to hear it again.
You're too kind, bro. You're too kind.
I want to hear it again. I'm shook. It's like you come on one of them records and you be like, oh man, play that first song when we was back in the day with the record player. Oh, play that again.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard Earth, Wind & Fire Power, I must have played it like 10 times in a row. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So this project, tell us a little more about it.
Okay, excuse me. Wanted to put together a CD that, like in the old days where you get your album, you put the needle on the record and just let it play through the tracks. I wanted to put something on that in such a way that it's a journey, it's a musical journey. And it starts off smooth and then it just rides through. The first 3 tracks are smooth jazz, mostly. Then, I do 2 a.m., which introduces a little of the funk element. Then my son Kyle, who wrote a track on the CD as well.
He played bass. Okay. And he played bass on the track?
Yeah, he played bass on the track and he wrote the thing.
I love it. I told you he was welcome to be in the band. I didn't really mind. I know he's ready. You told me he was ready.
He's
wow.
Ready. He did bass on the CD, but he's really a guitarist.
Yes, Kevin told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. We sit here, we're mashing it up, and he's just sitting here playing guitar and playing stuff that I can't play.
Yo, he got it from you though. He got it from you. I know. I seen him. I see them watching you play, so I know.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. That's an amazing thing to have. Besides the musical gift you have this plethora of love around you, bro, and it illuminates you. It does, man. And you went through something a couple of years ago, that was touching. That I gave you a lot of credit and strength and courage for, and you overcame a certain, cancer that you had. And tell me at that moment, how serious was it with that interacting in your music career?
Oh, well, it had to be just put on hold. I had to focus on the health. And musically, I wasn't doing anything, but the music family reached out to me at key points, man. When you're going through the whole chemo thing, it's a rough ride. Anyone that's done it understands it. And for me, there were moments where my spirit was low and the phone would ring, and it's one of the cats. Hey, man, I'm just checking on you. They have no idea how important and how timely those calls were that came in. You picked me back up, and give me a restart, hit the reset button for me. And my musical family, thank goodness, is tremendous. In this business, you meet some cats, and then that cat introduces you to this cat, and then that branch reaches that branch. So it goes on and on. And I had a lot of, cats that reached out to me. So I had family, I had coworkers, I had musicians. So everybody, helped keep me up spiritually during that time, which is important. I've always been a positive mind. I'm like a glass half full kind of guy to begin with.
Always, yeah, man. Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I'm happy every morning, because I'm like, I'm up. That was an important part of my recovery. And actually, the first track on the CD was the first song I wrote once I was recovered.
Right.
Sundance. And I played that, and it felt good. I'm like, you know what? Let me just finish developing this into a full track. And it was significant, I'm a Sun person. I felt good. I felt healthy again, and I got a chance to capture it in the music. So when you listen to the first track, Sundance, that's where that was coming from.
Yeah. And tell the audience again when the release date is. Those just tuned in.
Tuesday, July 14th.
Okay, that's great, man. I'm gonna make sure I bombard my page that day. I'll set a reminder for myself because you're incredible and you're a gift to this planet. I'm not really from this planet. Renee Billy says awesome. She says awesome. You're getting comments on Facebook already, but yeah, I'm not from here, but I appreciate what I'm a hybrid, but I appreciate all the human stuff. That's how I connect with all. You notice I only connect with the best. You know what I'm saying? Because the rest, I'm like, the rest of the human beings, they want to fight and argue and all this other stuff. I want to be around people like you. Because that keeps me uplifted, man, while I'm down here doing what I do. Mark Lee, one of the producers at IBM as well, said, amazing guest, there are going to be times when we're down and up, and you've been that, the glass half full guy for me all the time. And I can't get enough of what you do. And, we got to touch on this because it's the elephant in the room, although, we still got time and, you got another track for us. But I have to ask you, not so much the movement, but so much the solutions, because Kim, our producer, and Kevin, they have the same mindset too. They just don't know it because they're always talking about what's the solution. All right. So how do you feel, first of all, obviously as an Afro-American man making music in this country, right? And knowing that you could walk out your door, no matter what you've done creatively, you could get hurt.
Wow. I tell you, it's amazing what you get acclimated to and accustomed to. You should never walk with fear, but you're forced to do simple things. I don't keep my documents in a glove box. My documents in the car are kept in a compartment right below.
Right there. Yep, right there.
And I've always, I was raised to be a polite individual and try to be articulate and immediately differentiate yourself from the preconceived notion, the guy that they're always putting on the 6 o'clock news. Try to establish that immediately when I encounter anyone of authority. So you deal with me, not the image or what's portrayed. And I kind of pass that on to my sons, pass it on to my students, as a matter of fact. Survival 101 in the world of today. How to carry yourself, how to interact with law enforcement individuals. Now, in terms of solutions, I don't claim to have any solutions. I mean, to me, all this is simple. Life is simple. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and all this goes away. And you stop thinking about the differences in people and start thinking about the similarities. If I don't know you and I want to approach the conversation, it's from a position of what do we have in common? Not the obvious differences. I mean, you turn out the lights, all the obvious differences disappear. We have nothing left but to find out what we have in common. And that's the real solution. And without getting like super political or trying. It's America. It has a long-term problem. It's a long-seated problem, and nothing's going to change overnight. Nothing's going to change without much strife. Historically, we know nothing has changed easily in America. It's going to take work.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some camaraderie.
Yeah.
It really is. And I always have this that I share with everyone, and this is the beauty of music. I always say we need to put emphasis on the things that we share, things we like together. I can take, or we all can take, a room full of people who don't speak the same language, who have no cultural things in common, and you know what they'll all do? They'll do this to the music, man, in sync.
Yep.
That's right. Common thread right there.
Yep.
No words spoken. And you've seen it at shows where you hit the groove in the concert, and you look at somebody, you don't even know the person, but you're there, you're like, yeah, we're feeling that. To me, that's the magic of music, man.
Yeah.
It's the universal language that's second to none, man.
Yeah. Yo, what you said is so deep and poetically said so smoothly. And I like, there's a song in there somewhere when you said turn out the lights and all our differences. I'm taking note because that's the song right there. Yeah. Turn out the light, because like you said, musically we're just, and being musicians and artists, especially from New York, we're like, well, if you can play, you can play. White, black, Puerto Rican, Spanish, mixed, don't matter. And I think that's one of the gifts I tell people all the time. I'm so blessed to be able to do this thing.
Yes.
Because the people that I've met, it opened, as a kid, you know, you're in the first band in school. You're playing with different people. The band with the band, you know, playing whatever. It didn't matter the color. It was like, what instrument are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't matter what color, you know. And like you said, man, we're in a long-term fix. But the beauty is, you know, Kayla Maya, 12 and 16 now, your nieces. So they're pretty big now. And their generation is going to hold it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I've been out at a few of the protests and watching the rainbow come together. Mm-hmm. And I think, okay, we didn't turn the corner, but at least we're approaching the corner, you know. And as long as you and I can be here to keep this funk music alive and music alive, it'll rub off on a few of them, and maybe they'll get it. You know, maybe they'll get it, man. It's amazing. Again, here we are, Funk Music with Zack live, 12 p.m. on IBM.TV. John Groovalicious Willis, he's been like an amazing guest. We got some more time to spend with him. We got one more song that he's going to do, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. You know, you can get into it. You guys can from John Groovalicious Willis hanging out with us on the best of the best, the first of a 3-part series on Funk Music with Zack on IBM.TV. Don't forget to go to our sponsors. Check out IBM.TV website. Mr. Lynn Shepard, thank you, sir, you know, for all that you do in the dollar store. And y'all can hit that big green button over there and get all your products. Stay safe and do all that good stuff. Right now, we're going to run a little something from Bootsy Collins. I got a message from Bootsy. October 23rd, the power of the one, the essence of all that is and ever was, that even includes you and all you do. All right, so check it out. Go to BootsyCollins.com or go to ClubFunketeers.com. $25 annual membership. You could go to the Boot Cave as well, www.bootcave.com. All right. The album is going to be a digital download. And for Bootsy's birthday bash on October 23rd, $10 will get you the digital download. A $30 ticket will get you the laminate and backstage pass. And a $60 ticket will get you the live stream, album digital download, assigned. Again, I say a signed album CD by Bootsy Collins and the Laminate. So you guys go ahead and check that out. It's going to be the bash. It's going to be the ball. It's going to be fucked up. As Bootsy would say, yabba dabba dooza bubba. It's going to be all that and then some. Right now, I'm going to run something called The Power of the One, featuring Mr. George Benson by Mr. Bootsy Collins. Y'all go ahead and check that out. It's all good, y'all, on Funk Music with Zack right here on IBM.TV. Y'all go ahead and get into that. The best of the best of the best. Part 1 of this 3-part series, y'all. The power of the one is the very essence of all that is and ever was. That includes you and all you do. To all my funketeers out there, that includes you and all the things that you do. The power of the one lives inside, and we know where it comes from. Mad shouts out again to my boy, Bootsy Collins, my main mentor, my main man, and my other mentor, Miss Peppermint Patty. Love y'all, love y'all, love y'all to death. Y'all are making it happen. Thank you for allowing me to serve and be a funk ambassador. Yeah, I'm loving all of that. So right now we're going to run the power to one, and we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. There's a fabulous round table coming on after this show. You guys can hang out and check that out and stay on with us and, you know, get down with us. And we get into a lot of great subjects about a lot of good stuff. You know, I'm getting ready to split up out of here, but you know, there are going to be some interesting things to be talked about over the next coming weeks. So y'all go ahead and get on to that while we load up this video. Again, my producer's Mr. Mark Lee. I want to thank you for that, Mark. You good? It's all good. Do you?
You feel, but you just have to fit it between that space, that little space that you got, which is one. You know, one. And then you would try to fit your different notes where you felt in between that, like. can change that. You know, and that's the funk. And you can change that.
True essence of the funk is the power of the one. It's the power of the one. You know this funk has just begun. You can lean on me. Let your mind be free, Bob. I shall not won't die. But I need the funk, baby. Of the funk is the power of the one, Bob. One!
Yeah. The power of the one. Boosie Collins' birthday bash, October 23rd. And don't forget, right here on Funk Music with Zack, every Sunday, 12 p.m., IBM.TV. Y'all come down and hang out with us. Today was a little bit of a special show, as we've done, at least 4 or 5 months of shows now. We're going to be pulling the best of the best from time to time. I'm going to make sure I get my brothers, Rasta Funk. I apologize to you. I'll make sure I get you guys back on, and run your clips as well, because there was some choice things that you guys did, as well as Mike Patterson, as well as, Saxy Rick, and as well as a lot of the other artists that I've had on the show that took their time, to come on and hang out with us. Again, IBM.TV, the place to be. It's a definite positive place for you to come and speak on some issues, whatever they may be. Right now, we got a fabulous roundtable that's coming on. They're going to be hanging out with you. I'm your host, number 9, on Funk Music with Zack on IBM.TV. Go ahead and support Lynn Shepard at the Dollar Store. It's all good. I got to run. I got to get out of here. I got to hard out. But don't worry. I'll be funking you, baby. I'm going to be watching you. Again, man, shouts out. Thank you to my producer, Mark Lee. All right, Mark, take us away, baby. Peace.
Yeah, Zach had to bounce on out, but we're going to keep this thing going with a real powerful roundtable. I am glad to be joined by a number of friends of mine, including new friends. So I see we've got Lori in the house, and of course we've got the big boss in the house as well, none other than Kimberly. So we've got a lot of great folks that'll be joining us in the conversation. So I am definitely looking forward to hearing what kind of conversation we're going to be talking about. I know we've got a man that definitely loves some good old-fashioned music, none other than Dr. David, because he's definitely a fan of the music. And I saw in some chats that he was over there grooving to Zack and some of those other musicians from what was going on. He was having that whole power of one thing going on. So we definitely were enjoying what he was doing over there on the side. And like Zack said, he had to bounce. He's got some things still going on with family, and of course he's also in the process of healing as well. So definitely we're going to continue this thing going with a great discussion and all of that. So I know that a lot of folks have got a lot of things on their mind, so I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly and see what she's got on her mind, because there's so many things happening in the world and there's so many things that are going on. So I know a lot of folks have been following the political elections and things along that line. As a matter of fact, they've got a big debate coming up on Tuesday. So that's one of the things that I know is happening in the world. And of course, a number of folks are also following the world of sports. Yes, I am a sports fan, not just a political junkie. So it's glad to see that at least one of the teams made it. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was not rooting for the Lakers. I was actually hoping that Denver would be able to pull off a miracle and come back from 3-1 on 3 occasions, but the Lakers had different stories, and Denver had already knocked out my Clippers and my good friend Doc Rivers. So that's going on. So there are a number of things happening in the world. But like I said, Kimberly, that's just some of the things that I know is happening in the world. And I don't know if you got some things that you want to talk about or some things that are on your mind. I did hear that you had sent out an email, because I just heard that we have added a new show. So I have not seen that email, but I know Zach told me that we have added another show. So if you want to talk about that, I'll turn it over to you in that category. Hold on one second. I got to unmute Kimberly first.
There we go. All right. Yeah, then thank you. And you know what? I just start out this show after all of that music and positive talk about everything with number 9, Zack. He really brings it home for me on a Sunday, right? I remember when I was younger listening to jazz music, but let's talk a little bit about the politics. One of the things that has made me happier is we have a great political Washington Report every day, 5 minutes, cuts through all the BS, all of the baloney, all of the mudslinging, and he just gives the report. This is what is happening. This is what this party's doing. This is what this party's doing. You make your own opinions. There's no commentary. So one, that has made my life a lot happier this political season. And I don't know about you guys, but that just allows me to think for myself. And it's 5 minutes. It's not this, all day long stuff. The debate coming up, I'm looking forward to it. We also have a swing state show coming on 3 days a week discussing about the swing states. Again, a person who has always been in politics, but not one side or the other. So I really like the way he presents the facts. And then today we have the American Political Talk Show, which is really just, I've learned so much, right, about our history from the first show that he did about women in politics, how far back we have gone when the first woman ran for president, all of these things, the first African woman who ran for president. I mean, wow, it was just, everything we're doing is so inspiring. But there are some other new shows. We have a teen show that started. We have Gamers Den. We have Lawyers Den. You don't understand. It's not just one show starting. It's magnitudes of shows every day. And we're going to be doing, some of you might be interested in this, we're going to be doing a wine show. So it's going to be more on wine tasting side, but also just kind of winding down and talking about the good things about wine. So there's, Mark, there's a lot going on, right? And plus, in America, and I don't know if other countries do this, but we have transitioned our seasons. And so maybe Ankit can enlighten us, but we have moved from summer to fall this week. You can actually feel it. Like you can feel the change. Maybe in Pennsylvania, it hasn't done that, or in other places. But so that's been the change too. But listening to Zack talk about, it's been many months since he started this. And one of the things I think that maybe he can appreciate is how much we have grown in those months. And really, it's not been many months. It feels like it because we're on all the time. But, I always say the best changes occur in the time frame that it takes to heal. And it usually takes 90 days to heal from a broken bone, or a season to change, as I always call it, which I actually doing a book on that. But that's something that's been great to watch, is all of us as a family coming together. But what's interesting to me is this roundtable talk, where Zack couldn't have said it better, or you, where we feel free to talk about things, our issues today that most people are afraid to talk about. And we've actually put them on the table. And, we shared them. We shared our fears. We've shared what bothers us. And again, as you notice, I'm wearing my shirt today, which I usually wear on the 30th of every month, which is the fallen officer from a police call. And of course, domestic violence, which is the worst crime in the United States. Of course, they don't ever talk about it, but 12 million victims a year and 10,000 fatalities a year. And it's the most dangerous crime an officer is dispatched for. So, but we all have these fears, right? And when I heard the conversation today, and because we just celebrated Peace Day, right? Last week, and one of the doctors said something about what peace is, and a lot of people kind of reflected on this, that it's not having fear, right? When you wake up every day and you can walk out the door and there's no fear, but you know what? Something's always out there. Right. Our childhood stories always told us about the big bad wolf. Somewhere out there, there's the big bad wolf. So the thing to do is be prepared. And like Zack said, I'm always looking for answers, right? What are the solutions? How can we fix this problem? So that's what I want to kind of focus on is, the biggest fears that we have. So talk freely about what you fear, but also how you think that we can make changes in that area. And Dr. Anthony has joined us, and I hope she's feeling better.
Somewhat, I am. Good morning.
Hi, have you started your journey? Have you arrived?
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy. So there you go. You know, we got a lot of things going on. And then we got Dr. Lori and Dr. Moskowitz joining us as well. You know, we got our standard team here. But let's start with, up there, Mark. I know this is more your show, but let's start with Dr. Moskowitz and Lori and kind of get them introduced to the team.
Well, actually, that's one of the things I was going to do because Dr. Moskowitz, I've had the pleasure of meeting you a couple of times, but what do you have going on in your world? And it's my first time actually meeting Dr. Lori, so I want to definitely know more about you as well. But I'll start with the good doctor up at the top next to Ankit. So, David, talk to us and tell us what you've got going on.
Well, today I sent off 2 letters to the New England Journal for the September 24th issue. There was one article about a guy who died of licorice. His potassium was too low, and at the end of the case, he went into acute renal failure. And rather than start him on dialysis, the family chose to let him die. So my letter was, too bad they didn't know about my patent from 15 years ago, which uses IV aminophylline and lets you avoid dialysis altogether in acute renal failure. The second letter I sent in was about COVID-19. There was an editorial about stopping politics, to follow on what you were saying, Kimberly, about getting through the political BS to the truth, and getting beyond tribalism and actually solving this pandemic. And it referred to a case report that I put out in May that shows that quercetin works tremendously well for COVID-19 symptoms. And we followed that along with a consecutive case series of around 50 patients. And quercetin cut the average length of symptoms from 20 days without quercetin, but other stuff like azithromycin and vitamin C and vitamin D that other people are using, cut it from 20 days down to 6. So it really looks like quercetin at a high enough dose, 0.5 gram to 1 gram twice a day, maybe even 2 grams twice a day, can cut symptoms quickly.
Wow. Sounds like you've got a lot going on, and that's a whole lot of information for folks to think about and to talk about and all of that. I did want to come to Dr. Lori as well. Dr. Lori, first time, like I said, meeting you. So I would love to know more about you and what you've got going on in your world. Because like I said, it's my first time actually getting an opportunity to meet you and learn what you've got going on here at IBM TV and what your connection is to this wonderful family. Because as Kimberly knows, I'm just a big fan of what we've got happening here. I talked to Kimberly Ankit and definitely the rest of the leadership team that I just think it's an amazing team. So I'd love to know more about what you've got going on and what you're doing.
All right. Well, I am delighted to be here, and I've actually been on IBM TV one time before. My dear friend and classmate, Dr. Vicki Rackner, is the person who connected me with you guys. I'm really grateful to that. I am a family physician. I have an integrative medicine practice in St. Paul, and I'm delighted to hear about things like I pronounce it quercetin, but I've been doing a tremendous amount of research into natural therapies to help with COVID-19, and I'd be happy to chat about that. I think one of the sad things about the pandemic is that it's exposed something that we haven't really known, or a lot of people outside of medicine haven't really known, which is we like to think that medicine is practiced purely, that we go where the facts take us. And unfortunately, there's a lot of politics in medicine, egos, money to be made. And I think that that's poisoned some of the the medical approach to it, above and beyond the political partisanship, which is really frustrating. So what I have going on is doing my practice by telemedicine and trying to keep my patients safe and healthy.
Sounds like you're doing a lot of great work in that regards, and I'm assuming that you're talking about St. Paul as in St. Paul, Minnesota, and all of that area. Yep. So you could definitely relate to some of that funk music, because we know that Prince was from that area as well. So.
I was grooving before we came on.
So we have this thing called bun dancing that we're going to be doing here real soon with one of Mark's friends. I think he's going to be bringing his DJing type show on our network, and it's called bun dancing. So you got to explain the game, Mark, because it's
really great. Brian Shulman, who is a LinkedIn influencer and definitely a friend of mine, he does what he calls social distancing. So you're talking about holistic kind of things. That's the way he calls it. So he got tired of that term of social distancing, and he was like, we still need to be involved and engaged with each other. So he came up with that term, and he definitely does that on a regular basis. He does a show on Wednesday and a show on Saturday. And yes, I am trying to persuade him, just like I tried to persuade, and it looks like I might have won Gwen to come on to the show and do some wine kind of things. So it definitely looks like we're having a lot of things coming from our community, and we're looking forward to that. I did want to bring in Dr. Anthony as well. So how are things going over there where you are? You are over there in the Gulf Coast of the United States. And of course, we know that y'all went through a lot with those hurricanes. You also had some injuries of your own. So you and Zack were comparing notes, and I think over the phone and everything, as to how y'all were healing. So how are things going? And when will you be making your return trip back to the DC area? Because I know that that's where you work at.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hopefully, I'll be coming back within the next 2.5 weeks. As far as everything else, my healing is going perfect. I went to the doctor the other day, and he's started me on the another regimen. So as far as I can tell, it's working. I'm not having as much pain as I had in the past. As far as the hurricane is concerned, we're still dealing with FEMA in a lot of the communities. Some of the communities still doesn't have power, and some communities who have power lost power the other day, so they're without power again. But luckily, we still have power. But even if we didn't, we still have a generator. But for the most part, everything seems to be going well. I'm just kind of ready to get back, actually, so I can, start my show and do what I need to do. So that's pretty much what's happening with me.
Looks like there's some great things happening in your community as well. I want to come back to Dr. Lori. You mentioned something that has always definitely had resonance with me, and that's that whole thing of natural medicine and holistic medicine. It seems like you're a big proponent of that. So if you would share with us some of your thoughts on that, because I've also been a big fan of things like herbal tea and other things that are very much about holistic healing. So I'd love to hear your perception of that. And then I'm going to not leave Ankit out, because we are a global show and we've got to get to India as well. So I do want to hear from Dr. Lori about holistic medicine.
Excellent. Yeah. And I'm actually excited about collaborating with Dr. Moskowitz, maybe on more integrative things too. So I like to talk about the collaboration between taking the best of alternative medicine and the best of conventional medicine, and really looking at the benefit risk ratio of everything. And the wonderful thing about a lot of natural treatments, herbal treatments, supplements, but also even just looking at like diet and exercise and sleep and stress management, that it's really a holistic approach where you start with working with the patient to optimize their lifestyle, and then add in the things that are the safest and the cheapest. And unfortunately, some alternative therapies can be expensive. But for the most part, you can really kind of go with things that are relatively cheap. Dr. Moskowitz mentioned a case of licorice intoxication and renal failure. And there are certainly some risks to alternative therapies. If it's strong enough to make you healthier, it can be strong enough to give you side effects. So it really should be done with some caution, not just going on Google and buying a bunch of stuff. Obviously, the best is to find an alternative or an integrative practitioner to work with. But I think it's really about balancing lifestyle issues and the most gentle and safest therapies. So, and vitamin D. I'm a huge proponent of vitamin D.
What other vitamins would you ask folks to get? Because I'm always hearing about vitamin D, which of course Bill has got, and I'm also hearing about vitamin C. But are there other vitamins that we don't get enough of that you wish more people would get? And how would you go about doing that?
Well, so I think that that in any place that doesn't have a lot of sunshine, and if people aren't in the sun, they're probably vitamin D deficient. And so I actually tell people, ideally, if you can get your vitamin D level checked and then supplement to get it above 50, that's really ideal. Here in Minnesota, at this time of year, you could lie naked in your backyard all day long and you wouldn't get enough vitamin D. I don't recommend doing that anyway.
That's a great advertisement, though. Get out there. Something I want to add is that this is something that we've talked about since day one when we started bringing the doctors from all over the world. When we started these shows, IBM TV, March 7th, when the lockdown started hitting, and we started bringing in doctors from everywhere, and they all said vitamin D and vitamin C, and then of course the other supplements. Now I want to add that, I like to listen to these things and learn because science to me is everything. But I was suffering and struggling from a particular infection that just would not go away. And I did not want to go to the doctors and risk getting other worse things, right? So I learned about quercetin, a supplement. And, Dr. Moskowitz had shared about his research and how it had worked with some of the COVID patients. And I just want to say, things like that, like turmeric, quercetin, they really do work. These are true derivatives of probably what they put into the medications that we pay thousands of dollars for anyway. But I was so impressed that the minute I started, and I'm not going to say the minute, but I started taking it exactly like the doses said. And within 2 to 3 days, the infections were going away and I felt better, right? And then I started adding more supplements because I was feeling drained and tired. So I added some other things like beetroot, which, Dr. Yu was telling us how that helps with the oxygen in the blood, right? Well, I had read up on that from many, many, many years ago, centuries ago. Beetroot has always been used to help with the oxygen in the body, just healing the body. So there's so much to be said about this science. This is science, people. This is natural science, natural health. And I think it's a solution that a lot of people avoid. And I don't know why. Dr. Anthony, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to say I have severe allergies to the other two doctors that's on the show. I have severe allergies, and I did try some natural, but it didn't work for me. So I had to go back to taking the medicine because I was still, get the same symptoms, but they were extremely severe. So for me personally, I have to take the medicine. I can't do anything natural when it comes to, like my allergies and, my symptoms based off of, the food allergies, the environmental allergies, and the product allergies. So for me, it didn't really work well. But I do for vitamin D, I do want to get some type of natural something because I just don't do the sun. It burns me so bad. I just can't be out in it or whatever. So I was taking like an over-the-counter supplement, but I will be interested in doing something natural for that. And I don't like milk. Just out there.
I don't either. I'm not a milk drinker. Maybe Dr. Moskowitz can help here. But what I do like, and my doctors convinced me to do it after I work out every day, because we talk about our hydrating index rate, is and I never like milk. Well, I like chocolate milk for whatever reason, the dark chocolate milk. I love that. But he told me to, my doctors told me after I work out, drink dark chocolate milk because the antioxidants help flush the bad things out of your body. And the index rate, hydration index rate in milk is higher than Gatorade and things like that. And then I'm getting my vitamin D because I had the same problem. I was very vitamin D deficient. And because I wasn't getting outside enough. And you don't have to be in the sun, like bake in the sun. Yeah, you're right. I think in Minnesota, you have to be there all day for 10 or 15 days to get enough. But there are times that you could go out in just a few minutes, get a good dose of it. But But I found that even adding, you have to be careful when you do supplements. If you're taking medications from doctors, that you always tell your doctors, I'm thinking about taking these supplements, because the crossover could be very dangerous as well. So, but I'm a proponent, whatever healthy. But yeah, anybody got any ideas for vitamin D?
Yeah, I was going to ask you all that, because I was going to ask the two doctors, or actually all three doctors, if they had any idea for vitamin D, because as Dr. Anthony and you, Kimberly, were talking about not liking the milk, I'm actually not I don't mind some milk products and things of that nature, but as y'all know, I'm a fan of the pets in the world, the dogs and the cats and everything else, and there's always that stereotype that folks think that cats like milk. Guess what? They don't. So, like I said, it's actually a myth, because if you study what cats are, they really do not like the milk, and that's been a known fact that they really get sick off of it. So a lot of folks don't know that, but cats actually do not like milk, and I don't know where that whole stereotype came about. Kimberly's been a student of media and everything else. Maybe she's got some ideas of where that came about.
I'm just a Garfield fan. I know he liked lasagna. So.
Well,
exactly.
I think we're more of a soccer formation than a round table. But I'd like to venture a comment about vitamin D.
Thank you.
It's actually been really worked out well. I'm a nephrologist, and kidney patients need vitamin D in the worst way, because the kidney is one of the places that activates vitamin D in the diet. And without good kidney function, you actually have to give kidney patients calcitriol, 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3. And as luck would have it, I'm taking an anti-seizure medicine like Tegretol, and Tegretol revs up metabolism of vitamin D. It adds a 24 hydroxyl group to it that completely inactivates it. And so I'm actually, even though I have good kidney function, I'm using 125 to suppress PTH, which because I'm essentially I have low vitamin D too, just like Dr. Anthony, even though I've been taking 10,000 units of vitamin D every day. The problem was I didn't know for the longest time that it was just going in the garbage. It was never getting fully activated. So vitamin D, and so I have calcific AS. I have calcification of my aortic valve as a result of 20 or 30 years of low vitamin D, high PTH, because vitamin D inhibits parathyroid hormone. So I'm essentially a dialysis patient in disguise without being on dialysis. But vitamin D is actually very well worked out. And as long as you're not taking a Tegretol type compound, just taking 5,000 or 10,000 units a day should get your levels up.
And apparently the reason that cats don't like milk and everything is because they have the same issue that humans have. Because I was actually looking it up, and it says because of the low amount of lactose in their small intestines, adult cats cannot digest most of the lactose in milk and suffer from lactose intolerance within about 8 to 12 hours after drinking it. So therefore, the reason they don't like it is because, like many humans, they are lactose intolerant. So that's something new to learn, is that they are lactose intolerant. Dr. Lynn, do you got something to say about that?
Well, just not about that, but I did want to, because I had forgotten Dr. Moskowitz was a nephrologist. I presume you're familiar with nephrogenic diabetes insipidus.
Sure.
And which my son had and was born with. Actually, my wife wouldn't be here today if her brother hadn't died of that back in the 40s. So because her parents only wanted 2 kids, and she was actually number 3 after her brother died. But listening to you talk about some of the things that you take, maybe is vitamin D something that might help that?
Well, so nephrogenic DI, I'm diagnosing in a lot of my patients, both male and female. Yeah, turns out everybody's got obstructive uropathy. Their bladder is way too big. Women, because they've had pregnancies, And even a single pregnancy with a giant uterus full of baby is enough to obstruct the bladder. And men, of course, because their prostates are invariably enlarged as they get older. So the poor bladder, which doesn't have much in the way of muscular tone, blows up as a result. And the kidneys, and the pressure backs up on the kidneys. And one of the first things that the kidneys do when they're obstructed is to become resistant to vasopressin, the antidiuretic hormone. And as a result, the urine becomes too dilute. The specific gravity of the urine goes down to 1.003, things like that. Normally it's like 1.025. So you can't concentrate your urine. And as a result, you're peeing out hypostenuric urine, so very dilute urine that's too much, so it's diabetes, and too dilute, so it's insipidus. And the way to treat that is to remove the obstruction. And so it turns out that the bladder is absolutely key to kidney function. And my guess is if your son was born with a hereditary form of nephrogenic DI, that it had to do with the way that the ureters inserted into the bladder, and that there was obstruction at birth, and now that can be fixed in utero under ultrasound guidance. And so obviously the sooner it's corrected, the better. But obstruction is one of the more beautiful forms of kidney failure because there's almost no time at which correcting it doesn't correct the kidney function. It's a very forgiving kind of diagnosis.
Sounds fascinating. By the way, I cannot leave Ankit out of the conversation. We're having this entire United States conversation. We're a global community, so we've got to bring Ankit into it. So how are things going in the sense of natural medicine over there in India? So I would love to hear your perception of natural medicine. I saw that you were making some comments about turmeric, and I know that you are a big fan of turmeric. So I would love to hear you talk about how important that is to you.
So if you talk about natural medicine, we Indians, we are taking natural medicine since a while now, maybe more than 1,000 years. We have Ayurveda, Homepathic, and a lot of other ways to take natural medicine. In fact, we use natural herbs on our day-to-day food as well, which gives us a different kind of immunity. If you talk about the pandemic situation, our mortality rate is like 80%. So we have fewer deaths as compared to how many people have been found COVID positive. So I'm not sure. The research is still going on, but there is some kind of immunity built up in Indians. the way we use our herbs and all those stuff on our day-to-day diet and food and all those stuff. And in fact, during the pandemic, I don't have a number, but most of the Indians, they are taking a magical recipe called a spice water, which I've already discussed on IBM TV multiple times. So what we did is we use 5 herbs and put it in water and just make that water boil, and till the time the water gets half. So suppose if you take 1 glass of water, it should be half of a glass. Then you have to consume that spice water, and that could be ginger, that could be basil, that could be turmeric, that could be there are a couple of amla and all those stuff which we use in basil as well to make sure that we consume every day, and that gives us immunity, which certainly, in fact, a lot of doctors also follow those things. It's not like we are just taking it for like this, but and that's a free recipe, and there is no side effect. If you take any herb, there is no side effect to it unless you are a chronic disease patient of kidney and stuff like that. So maybe you have to avoid those things. But till the time you can take it, you are very much aware of all those things. And in fact, on our Ayurvedic shows with a lot of our Ayurveda doctors, they always tell us to take herbs and oils, which is good for health. In fact, a lot of our doctors are suggesting that whenever you go out during pandemic, before taking a mask, you have to use some oil and put it in your nostril. If you do that, you will inhale better, and then a lot of because the oil is sticky, and a lot of it gives you a filter to make sure that you have a filter before you breathe out. So there are small things which we already doing it from so many years. In fact, in our day-to-day culture, we used to wash our hands outside the home before we come out to the home. That was our, ancestors were following. Right now, because of the Western culture, we don't do that. So there are a lot of things which we are following what our grandparents were doing. So it's just like we are in a different world altogether. In fact, I'll tell you one more thing. In the summers, most of the Indians used to have a refrigerated water. Nowadays, we are taking an earth pot. We have an earth pot and we put the water inside that. And we are drinking all that water without refrigerator since 6 months. And not me, everyone else is doing the same thing, because the tendency is that if you take cold water, you have a bad throat. And that could invite coronavirus, make sure, because you lose your immunity as well. So there are small best practices which we started doing back again. And when you talk about vitamin D, I'm not sure, but we use a lot of copper bottles to make sure that we drink from the copper. If I'll take a water or something like that. And also for vitamin D, a lot of our doctors suggesting UV lamps and UV light. So if Dr. Laurie and Dr. Moscovich knows about that, we will get to know whether it's useful or not. But a lot of companies are also marketing UV lamps to take vitamin D. So Dr. Laurie and Moscovich, do you have anything on that?
I defer to Dr. Laurie.
You're talking about copper as part of what?
Copper, yeah, as well as UV lamps and UV lights, because a lot of people don't get sunlight because of the weather and other situations. So they try to take it from UV lights. In fact, there's a company based out of US called Sunlight something. So they have a different UV light which helps you consume a lot of light in the cold weather.
Yeah. Well, and ultraviolet light, we know, is antibacterial and antiviral. So, so I think that's definitely true. It's interesting. Zinc is something that has been shown to have a dramatic impact on immune function, and zinc and copper balance each other. So it's important, if you're taking a high dose of zinc, like 30 to 50 milligrams a day, to balance it with a couple milligrams of copper. But I also just wanted to pick up on what you said about Ayurvedic medicine, because most Americans are familiar with traditional Chinese medicine, but not necessarily with traditional Indian medicine, which goes back just as far and is extremely evolved. And it reminds me of what Hippocrates said, that make food be your medicine and medicine be your food. That in traditional Indian cooking, herbs like ginger, turmeric, cumin are known anti-inflammatories. They're immune enhancing. They're incredibly effective. And so we're starting to learn to use those not just in cooking, but also as supplements. But the other thing to point out about things like turmeric is there's kind of this reductionistic, like, let's look at the single compound that we can take out of turmeric and patent and sell for a lot of money as a pharmaceutical. And one of the things about herbs and spices and all kinds of other supplements is there's really a synergistic effect, that the herb has evolved over, millions of years to have multiple chemicals that are together the most effective. And so just, taking out, silymarin from milk thistle, you're not going to get the same effect as if you're actually taking the whole compound.
Yeah. And I wanted to come to Dr. Anthony about that as well, because I'm a big fan of natural plants and things of that nature. Like I said earlier, I remember growing up hearing about poke salad and other things that you could find out in the wild, and everything that you could actually eat and actually enjoy. And I've even heard of people eating and enjoying daisies and other kinds of things along that line. But I know that you are from Louisiana, down there in that Gulf Coast region. And I sometimes think that some parts of our communities, no matter what their ethnicity are, let those old medicines die and don't necessarily follow them as much as they should. So I was wondering your thoughts on that, Dr. Anthony, because I know that there's a lot of traditional medicine around the Louisiana Gulf Coast corridor and everything. And I was wondering, do you find that a number of the young folks are still using that traditional medicine, or do they think that it's antique and something that they don't want to deal with?
Well, if their grandparents or, like older relatives are still alive, I think they are using it. But a lot of them have strayed away from, the old remedies. Some stuff I still use, but like I said, I have allergies to a lot of things, so I don't use like a lot of plant-based things or whatever. And I'm not like real keen on, like trying new stuff, because if it hasn't worked for me in the past, I'm not trying to, like try it in. That goes with like food as well. I don't try new foods. I typically just stick to the same, regimen, same routine, because I know that it works for me. And I know that, if I get something that is not conducive to me and my body, I have severe effects of it. So me personally, I don't really do like a whole lot of the natural things, because I know some of it does not work for me. So like I said before, I stick to, like the medicine, especially when it comes to, like me being allergic to things. I stick to the medicine, and then I also break out in hives consistently all the time. So it's a little tricky for me. So I'm not real sure about the other ones, but I know some young people, they really don't stick to the, the old remedies unless their grandparents or, like older people are alive.
I want to add, because you're talking about how you're allergic to odd things, or your body reacts weird to odd things. And my body reacts really weird to like the fake things, like fake fat or hydrogenated fat. I never could react to it. I am literally allergic to anything fat-free. If it's labeled fat-free. And one time, I didn't know this, and one time, I guess where we were at, everything was fat-free. So I was eating fat-free the whole time. I broke out in welts like the thing. Like my body flared up into these huge welts. My nephew was like, "Oh, can I touch her? She looks like the thing." We're rushing me to the hospital fast as could, right? And they were giving me, what you would take, the emergency medications, because I couldn't find my EpiPen. And I survived, but it took a while to figure out, we boiled it down to, my body does not react to fake foods, like fake sugars. I get migraines from all of the fake sugars. But if I ate real butter, I'm fine. If I ate the real natural things that come from the natural plant and food, so I thought that was where, when you said my body reacts different, everybody's body reacts different, and you just got to be in tune, like you were doing. You're in tune to what works for you, and I always tell people, if you're going to make these kind of changes, supplements can be just as dangerous, especially because some of them replicate what the medication you're taking. Always talk with your doctor. It doesn't hurt to talk with them and just say, "I'm thinking about taking this," because that could be very, but I believe in all of these things. One of the things I'm really interested in too is the fact that Dr. Moskowitz has found a way to avert dialysis for people who have complete renal shutdown. I mean, that to me is something I don't understand why we're not taking bigger action on. And I would like to hear more about that, because I've had family members on dialysis, several family members on dialysis, and it's a long road for anyone who's ever had a family member. I know Ankit can understand where I'm coming from, but if anyone has had to undergo or have a family member and you're there with them every day, it's a torturous challenge. So Dr. Moskowitz, can you share a little bit about what your alternative is?
Right. Well, so it turns out my entry into this was the African gene. People from West Africa have 3 to 5 times more kidney failure than whites, and Hispanics have about 3 times more than whites. So this is one of the racial disparities that we're hearing about. It predated the COVID-19 racial disparity, but it's one of the biggest ones. And so I was looking for the gene that made people of African ancestry more susceptible to renal failure than whites. And I started looking in the early 90s. And to make a long story short, it's ACE. It's excess amount of angiotensin 1 converting enzyme, the so-called deletion genotype. And even though I was supposed to be a control, I'm ACE-PD, just like West Africans. It's 25% of Caucasians and about 45% of Nigerians. And a French group, Pierre Corval and his lab, discovered this polymorphism and showed that people who were DD, deletion, like me, had a 3 times higher rate of heart attacks. And what we did was just extend it to kidney failure. And actually 2/3 of human diseases are associated with this DD genotype, which means that they all should be susceptible to the right ACE inhibitor at the right dose. And nephrologists had already been using ACE inhibitors for a decade by that point in the mid-90s. And so I figured they were just using the wrong ACE inhibitor at the wrong dose. So I started experimenting with some of the newer ACE inhibitors like ramipril, but it turned out it was an oldie but goodie, quinapril, but at super high doses that did the trick. So I'm actually taking 80 milligrams twice a day of quinapril, which is about 4 times higher than the usual dose. And the secret is 1 mg per pound per day in 2 divided doses. So a 200-pound person gets 120 milligrams of quinapril in the morning and 80 at night. And if they don't respond, there's no upper limit. So you can keep going up on the quinapril to 120 BID, even 160 BID, which is astronomical. The pharmacy won't fill it. Insurance companies won't let you do it. But as long as you can control their potassium with Florinef, which they had to figure out first in 93, then you can give them as much quinapril as you want. And even people who are being told to start dialysis can be kept off the machine. I've got a woman in Houston who just passed 2 years in June, having been told that she had to start dialysis in 2018. And I've got another woman who started with a BUN of 100. She should have been starting dialysis, but that was 3 months ago. And her BUN dropped to 55 and is now 70. So this high-dose quinapril seems to be doing the trick, even in late-stage disease.
Wow, sounds like y'all are doing some serious research there and everything. I think Ankit had a question, and I do want to get to Ankit's question, so definitely want to do that. And I did also want to hear from Dr. Anthony, because I have also been hearing about the disparity that's going on in the minority community in the sense of what's going on with COVID and things of that nature. So I'd love to hear her perception of that, because we are hearing about a disparity among the races because of what's going on. So I'd love to hear her perception. But first, I'll turn it over and defer to Ankit's question or statement first. So Ankit, it's on you.
So I would like to know from Dr. Moscovich that in India, the trend is that a lot of diabetic patient, after like 5-7 years, they turn down to be a chronic kidney disease patient as well. And I'm not sure why, but we are in touch with Dr. Dinesh Kullar, and he's taking care of a lot of nephrologist patients in India. But the trend is that a lot of diabetic patients, before that they were having blood pressure. After 5 years, they are diabetic, and then after 5-10 years, they become kidney patient as well. So what is the reason of that? And also I would like to know what is the PD dialysis, which can be done as a home dialysis every night, and it's easy for a lot of people to get it done and don't visit a dialysis center.
So to be succinct, ACE-DD leads to everything. So ACE-DD leads to hypertension. 1 out of 6 hypertensives go on dialysis. Among the hypertensives, there is a subset that becomes diabetic. So in fact, insulin resistance is already part of hypertension. Of the diabetics, essentially half go on the kidney machine. We don't really know who the half are, except that once their creatinine starts rising, it's pretty obvious. And so that gets you to dialysis. You don't want to go there. Like I have a 50-50 chance of going on the machine myself, which as a nephrologist would be a cruel irony. But that's the way medicine is. You always die of the disease that you're most interested in. This home dialysis push is is crazy. We never had home hemodialysis when I was a renal fellow in the 80s. And now there's a push in Medicare, at least, to get people to hook up to a blood machine at their house. even though it requires nurses who've already been through ICU training to run dialysis units in well-equipped, well-stocked dialysis units that know what they're doing. So to expect family members to run a hemodialysis machine is absolute craziness. And the only reason it's being encouraged is because it's cheaper by a little. But interestingly, I've been to Medicare, and they're the single payer for dialysis. I went there in October of 2004. I also went to the National Health Service. I've been trying to reach Indian government entities as well. It would be far cheaper to prevent dialysis in the first place. Nobody's interested in that because all these bureaucrats would lose their jobs. 7% of the Medicare budget is tied up with dialysis. So better to put it at home than to get rid of it altogether, which I find absurd when it comes to public health.
And that comes back to the question I was asking Dr. Anthony, and I saw somebody ask the same thing in chat and everything. So, Dr. Anthony, could you talk about why we're seeing a rise in kidney disease in the African and the Hispanic community, and also why there is an increase in what we're seeing reported among the COVID cases? So I'd love to hear your thoughts and philosophies on why that is happening.
I think it's basically because it's poor diets in some communities. Lack of medical health care. It's known for a fact that, African Americans do not like to go to the doctor. And that's one of the things that, I stressed on a previous show that I was on, that, we as a community, we have to start going to the doctor. Not me per se or my family, because I know we go to the doctor, but I'm speaking in terms of all of us. We do not go to the doctor. There's a fear of going to the doctor and getting medical treatment. We kind of discussed it, with the experiments, the Tuskegee experiments, the syphilis experiments, and, things like that, and experiments with radiation. So Black people for sure has a problem with, seeking medical attention and going and if they're not bleeding, shot, stabbed, or, limbs falling off, they're just not going to the doctor. And I think that has a major problem with, failure, because if we can identify the problems early on and start making, corrective measures, we can attack some of those diseases. But because African Americans don't go to the doctor, like talking about, they're not going to, get those preventative measures. And as far as COVID is concerned, a lot of African Americans and Hispanics, they work in those fields where they're not able to take off and, work from home. They're the servers. They're the people at Walmart. They're the people at Target. They're the people that, are changing the beds in the hospitals, in the, the nursing facilities. Those are the people that are doing those jobs. So they're not privy to, some of us who can work from home, like myself and, other people and things like that. So also, a lot of people live together. So you have like multi-families within, one home, and, multi-people within, different apartments. So there's no place to, social distance and, get away from one another if an outbreak were to take place. Everybody is just basically piled up on top of each other. I remember when COVID first, came out, I was reading a story that happened in DC. A family lost three to four generations of, family members because they couldn't social distance. And when one caught it, it was just like a trickle down effect. Everybody else caught it, then the next person caught it, the next person caught it, and they ended up passing away. So I think that is something that's, kind of prevalent in the Black community as well as the Hispanic community. They just really don't, have the means to, social distance, or, they're working those jobs where they can't social distance and they have to be out in the field and they have to go out every day.
Yep, you bring up some very good points and everything. That actually reminds me, I got to get out and get in touch with a good friend of mine who actually is a member of that club, the folks that have regular dialysis, and he's actually also a stroke survivor. So I actually need to get in touch with my good friend Ray Pascal and see what he's up to, because it's been a few days since I've been in touch with him. So I need to reach out to him. By the way, I know that we've got to talk about a couple of other things, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up very shortly, but I was going to tell Dr. Anthony, I do like the abstract painting behind you. So I got to break up that moment and everything of the
This is in my mom's house, by the way. In my house is like pink, black, and white. But as far as the diet is concerned, we eat a lot of foods that are high in, like fats and things like that, and a lot of fried foods. If you're ever in Louisiana, if you ever come home with me, you'll notice that my mom cooks, a lot of hold on one second, my nephew. A lot of fatty foods. It's a lot of fried foods. Everything is served over rice. So, I mean, just cutting back, on, things like that. And I tell my mom all the time, I was like, I call her Grandma. I'm like, Grandma, I can't eat this stuff like this. I have to eat like little mini meals. And she's like, oh, it's okay. You can eat it. I'm like, no, I can't eat it because, it affects my stomach now because, I haven't lived in Louisiana in over 20 years. So it's very spicy, highly seasoned food. So I have to, have her cut back on the spices and the seasoning just so I can be able to consume it. And she busses at me. She's like, well, I'm gonna just have to cook a separate pot for you because, I can't eat my food like this. I gotta have pepper. I gotta have this. I'm like, well, you know what? If you cook it, I'm just not gonna eat it then. Our food is like, it's very seasoned. There's a lot of fat in it. And I mean, and we've been eating like this for years. And, to try to get someone who, my mom is like 75 to, change her eating habits, it's like talking to that wall over there, like move wall. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just not happening. And, that's something that we have to stress, when we're educating, the young people that, we have to start looking at our diets and things. And like yesterday, a friend of mine who's the same age as me, she just had a heart attack. Wow. And I just saw that on Facebook. She just posted that she just had a heart attack. She had one of her arteries clogged or whatever. So I'm like, we need to take that, eating healthier and the dieting, we need to take that very seriously. And we just don't do that here.
Yeah, I want to get that. And Dr. Lori, I want to get to both of y'all, but definitely continue this conversation for a while. I don't mind it going for a while and everything, but I agree. We do have to definitely have those things way, and this will be a segue into Ankit's question and everything. But we don't mind kids being involved. All you got to do is watch the Gamers Den to see Jacoby's kids pop in on a regular basis. So don't mind the nephew popping in.
Bring him on in. Say hi. Dr. David's grandchild came on the other day. Hi.
Hey. Don't see you though. He's getting ready to go back to his mom.
Kids are our future. I love having kids beam in if it's okay with the family because we learn so much from them. I learned so much from Ankit's daughter. It just amazes me. She's got all of this wisdom from listening to all of us adults that just comes out, and you go, "Wow, where did this come from?" The last message for Peace Day came from Dr. Moskowitz's grandson. And I had to stop at that moment because I didn't think any other message could do any better than from the mouth of a child. And
that is very true. That's
very much beautiful. You were there, Mark. It was beautiful.
It was very beautiful. Ankit, you had a question as well, and I think Dr. Lori
so I just wanted to mention that, when Dr. Anthony said they have a lot of fried fruits, in India, we have a lot of fried fruits as well. We have too much of fry. If your mom visits with you in India, she'll be liking it. But you know what we did? After taking the fried fruit, we take a boiled water so that whatever oil is there on the body, it will just drain out. So that we follow as a practice so that we can have fried fruits and also we can dilute that oil from the body as well.
That's interesting. I never thought of it, but I have to agree with Dr. Anthony because I love Louisiana food. Oh my gosh. I like Minnesota food too, and it's just as fattening. But I had my first yard of beer in Minnesota back in the early 80s. But when I go to Louisiana, you're right, the food it's so amazing. I couldn't take the spices now. But younger, I could eat it. I can't go to Louisiana and not put on 10 pounds. It just happens. I could be there one day and put on 10 pounds because the food is so good. But it's all right. It's fried.
Yeah. Kim and Dr. Anthony, I've got bad news for y'all. And I'm not sure if it'll be this week or next week, but I've got bad news for y'all. My good friend Mel Melton, a blues musician and a Cajun chef, will be appearing on one of the shows coming up very shortly. So I'm still talking to him, so I'm not sure if he's going to appear this week or next week, but we're in conversation. So he's going to be stirring up some food for y'all. So he is a master chef and has worked along with folks like that. And some of the folks that he's played with, I know Dr. Anthony will recognize because he played with folks like C.J. Chenier and the Wild Magnolias and folks like that. So I see Dr. Anthony is nodding her head that she knows those folks also because they come out of the world of Zydeco. But Dr. Lori,
you have another guest coming from the chairman of the board?
Yes, I do. Ken Knox will be coming from the chairman of the board as well. So we've got a lot of exciting guests that are going to be joining us.
At one of my dances in I can't wait.
Yep, and I think tomorrow, the last time I checked for the radio show with Mark Lee, we'll be joined by Ira David Woods, and I'm hoping that Ira will bring possibly his daughter Eva Rachel Woods with him. But y'all know Ira from doing the Christmas Carol, and of course everybody knows the Hollywood actress Evan Rachel Woods. So hoping that they'll be joining us also. So we're trying to line up some folks, and I'm also in negotiations with some folks that were some of the founders of Woodstock. So we're definitely having some great guests. And I know that from a conversation with Ankit and others, that one of our other folks, and I don't want to think that it's just all about the shows that I'm doing, but we got Julian bringing in none other than Uri Geller at some point or another as well. So y'all will remember him as being the man that could bend spoons. So that ought to be real interesting. So we got some great guests, but I do want to come back to Dr. Lori, and then I've got some spots that I want to put on about some of our shows that'll be airing today. And then I want to give a salute to another event. But Dr. Lori?
I just wanted to say everything's about vitamin D. The darker your skin, the less vitamin D you absorb. And that's obviously only one of many reasons why there are the racial disparities in health. But people with darker skins really need to make sure that their vitamin D levels are adequate. That's all I had to say.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's very important that we learn those things and everything. And by the way, speaking of things that we have to talk about that are very important and all that, we do also need to remember the folks that are suffering in California, the wildfires that are going there. And I know that we had an event yesterday because I actually popped in and chatted with the man behind the plan, none other than Jeff Eachin that does Weed Wednesdays. But he was out there raising money with a number of musicians from that community. And I was impressed with quite a few of those musicians. There was everything from a folk singer to a young musician who I think actually lost his home. But he was one of the guests, and definitely there were some others as well. So I popped in there. It was actually one of two Zoom things that I popped into because this is the week of, or this time of the year is a time that folks are celebrating Pride Week. And my friends over at Pinhook, which is one of our local nightclubs, they were having a event. So Kimberly, I was having way too much fun with them because I discovered filters. So I was actually playing with the filters and threw on like a cabaret hat and some other little hats that I might play with on some of our shows as well. So I've discovered that we've got filters where I can put on the cool shades and everything else. So just to have to give those great events a shout out because they were doing some great things. But we have two great shows that are coming on later on today, and I want to put on a spot for both of those, one being American Politics. Y'all know I'm a big fan of Bill Tresmount, so definitely about to put that one on. And then a show that I know both me and Kim will be checking out afterwards, which is Talking Upstream. So we like to talk upstream, so I'm going to put on American Politics right now. And even though I don't have her spot yet, it is my understanding that later on today, none other than Alexandria May will be talking about the music business. So I understand that her conversation today will be actually focusing on the music business. So if anybody is listening right now and wants to learn about the ins and outs, the difficult things that go on in the music business, I would definitely urge them to check that show out, because she's going to be talking about that. And of course, that's going to be a very important discussion for a lot of folks in the music business, because like I said, Alexandria has been in that field, having worked in South Africa, but also having worked in Nashville and having a number of contacts to the music industry. So I think that that's going to be a very enlightening conversation.
Yeah, I like Alexandra May's Musical Cafe. She was the first show that IBM TV had that branched out and did its own. She was the very first, and it was very unique, right? To be able to, she would do right around some music and then talk with the people what it takes to succeed in the music industry, which is going to be very important moving forward after this COVID crisis. And, you know, Dr. Anthony, I'm so glad that you are here to share with us the struggles that, you know, certain communities are having with these issues, especially the African American, maybe, you know, like Dr. Moskowitz brought up too, the Africans, as well as the Hispanic, because, you know, all too often we think, okay, we're fixing something, but we're not fixing it for every community. And this is what I like about this show, is that it brings awareness to things that, you know, maybe we don't think about enough. And we need to unite together and bring these solutions to the table and talk about them, because if we don't talk about them, they can't get fixed. They become that silent crime, that silent problem. And I'm glad that you do this. I'm so happy that you're here with us and sharing this with us.
Definitely, and I would love to hear your comments more about that, Dr. Anthony, because I know that I'm looking forward to your show and everything, so I'm hoping that that's going to come up very shortly and everything. So I know that there's a number of shows that we are looking forward to getting on the air, so I know that I'm looking forward to hearing yours as well. I was sitting here trying to find, and hopefully Angus got it in his wheelhouse of control, I was trying to find Dr. Shepard's ad so we can run that before we get everything off, but definitely that's one of the things that I was looking for. But I'd love to hear more about what folks can expect from your show.
Well, I'm still kind of grappling with it. I was thinking something in terms of like the all around, you know, not just titling it, well, not just having one specific area, but just different area of topics of discussion. I mean, because in the Black community, when we sit around the table, we talk about everything under the sun. So I don't want to just limit it to, you know, like one specific thing. I want it to be open enough where we can have guests of different calibers and, you know, different backgrounds and things like that come and, you know, express their ideas, their businesses, their, you know, their thoughts, whatever. So I just want it to be an all around, you know, talk show where, you know, it's not confined to, you know, just one specific type of personality, one specific type of, you know, topic or, you know, anything like that, where, you know, we can have people just, you know, come and basically just be free, you know.
Current issues. What's wrong with that? Not like what we do here. Just bring it out, but bring it out in more detail of current issues. And I like that. I like coffee shop talks. You know, I like sitting around the table and on a Sunday afternoon like we're doing here, just hashing it out a little bit, right? The reality.
Right.
I love it when you talk about the food down there.
My mom is like, y'all just don't understand. My mom is like the worst. She is like killing me. I'm like, I gotta do mini meals. I was like, I gotta eat a little bit. And she's like, that's why you're getting fat. I said, I know that's why I'm getting fat, because she cooks, and she cooks meals within meals. So we don't just get one thing. We get like 2 to 3 meals within one meal. And then there's dessert, and then there's like the snack time, and then, you know, like we're eating dinner. So it's just like all these different meals and, things like that. So we were like, I was giving food away the other day. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give this away, and that's just going to be that. So we gave people, down the street food, sent my mom's first cousin food, sent my sister some food. And as a matter of fact, today we were giving away bags of chicken. I was like, Mom, I don't call her Mom, I'll call her Graham. I was like, Graham, we don't need this stuff. I was like, the refrigerator is packed, the deep freezer is packed, the other refrigerator is packed. So we have 2 refrigerators. It's packed. So I was like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? So she's like, I'm going to
We're worse than a funeral. When the food comes in, it's even worse when the food comes in at a funeral.
It is.
No, that can't be one of the worst ones. And I want to say that.
It looks like we should do a special show with Dr. Anthony's grandma. I think.
I love that.
Food. Yeah, food about Louisiana.
Yeah, we could do a Louisiana food show. That sounds like a great idea.
We can do that too. My mom loves to cook. Like,
right to the kitchen.
Yeah, she cooks everything from scratch. So, it's like no measuring. So one of my friends was like, well, how much do you put in there? She was like, oh, just a little bit of this and just a little bit of that. She's like, there's no measuring. You just grab a pinch of this and you grab a pinch of that. And I was like, we don't measure. We don't measure. We just cook. So, it's just, putting the stuff in the pot, cooking. You taste it here and there. And then you go back, okay, well, it needs a little more of this. It needs a little more of that. So no measuring or whatever. So she is just everything, just everything. She does everything.
No, I can relate because, like I said, as many folks know that watch this show, I lost my uncle about a month and a half ago, and one of my cousin-in-law came from Louisiana. So my cousin Emmett actually married a young lady from Louisiana for his second wife and everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember she brought that food, and I want to say I need to call Mom and find out, but I think that some of that food is still in the refrigerator. I feel around.
Well, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat. Y'all email me your addresses, and I'll send you some Louisiana seasoning. Not so spicy for you.
Yeah,
I'll send you some Louisiana seasoning before I leave.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it available for Indians as well, Dr. Anthony?
Yes.
You said what?
I said, is it available for Indians as well?
Yeah, send it. I'll mail it to you. My nephew is over in Germany, so I just sent him a box to Germany. So just email me your addresses, and I'll send it to you. I should be here like another 2.5 weeks. So get it to me, and then I'll just take it to FedEx, and I'll have it shipped over to you. Yeah,
how sweet.
Not a problem.
That sounds really good. Sounds like that's going to be delicious. It sounds like that's going to be real wonderful.
Write it down.
Kimberly, and then before we wrap up everything, and hopefully Anchor and myself can figure out where Dr. Leon's ad is hiding at and everything. But before we get to that,
already up to me.
All right, cool. So if you would, Kimberly, what other shows do we have that you want to talk about that folks might be interested about? That I know there's a number of them that folks may be interested in learning about. We've talked about some, but maybe there's some others that you want to reveal.
Well, so we're going to be talking with someone today about a new event coming up next year that actually spinned off from the Independence Day, but it's a tour. And so that's going to be a music. Again, music just heals, right? And I'm all into it because it's just non-prejudice. But, and I don't know, Dr. Anthony, do you like wine?
I do.
Well, we're doing a wine show. We're trying to spin and pitch it, but it's from one of Mark's friends. And she just reached out to me today. She can meet today as well. So we're going to be spinning out. And, how great would it be that we have a new wine sent out to each of us, and we have a round table talk, and we're tasting, right? And we're doing wine tasting as a group, but we're talking about things, right? Around the table, how is this wine, but how was your day? How was your week? What's current events? Again, when you're, I call it liquid courage sometimes, but, a little bit of fun, but also just learning about the new wines that are out there. Like this woman, her story is fantabulous, and I'm not going to blow it here. I want her to tell her story of how she came up with all of this during COVID. So, those are the kind of shows that we're doing, just like yours. They're just being inspired from things that we need to learn from each other. And so those are some new shows. I think we started the teen show today, right, Ankit?
Yep.
So I had to go do something today called A Little Chore. that I haven't done in a while. So I could not watch the teen show this morning, so I'll watch it this afternoon. But, you know, sometimes your chores around the house have got to get done. And so I had to do a little chore today. But I will get back to, because I like watching the shows. Nick is the same way. We try to watch as many of the shows as we can. We might not be able to watch them live, but we always get together and talk about, did you see so-and-so? Did you see that? So don't think that we're not watching it when we're not watching you live. But those are the things, Mark, that I think I'm excited about. Mark has got this mystery guest dinner show going on. You know, I highly recommend it, because you just, you know, Annie Oakley shows up, right?
That's
so
right.
I do the show sometime to see what ghost is going to come, especially during Halloween.
That's right.
And, you know, so those, to me, I think every show we have is turning out great. I'm excited to see Lawyer's Den. I can't imagine what the Lawyer's Den is going to be like with Nick and Bill. I mean, you know, you're starting out with these two, right?
Yeah.
And I hope Roberto comes, because I just love it when Roberto from Italy comes in and talks. So those are, you know, but here again, you can sit and learn and laugh, right? Because it's funny, but you're going to learn something. And I think that's what's exciting about everything we're doing.
Oh, yeah. There's so many amazing shows. I know for a fact that y'all have talked to me about the fact that I believe Scarlett is going to be bringing to us very shortly a show about AR and virtual reality and all of that. So that ought to be fascinating. And then there's the young lady, I forget her name, but she's traveled the world. She was part of our International Peace Day. And I think that y'all were talking about that she's going to have a show coming our way as well.
When?
Oh,
Don't forget when.
We have 50 shows lined up for next couple of months. So we'll be, hopefully by December, we have 100 shows. So there's a lot of shows we don't want to do, but we want people to stay tuned on IBM TV so that they will learn what's coming in.
Yep. There's all
the Sharif of School of Economics, and you know what's interesting is I learned that people actually get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to watch him. Wow! And I go, yeah, I really like watching his show, and I go, wow. So
but it's such a part of a family, because like I said, you know, we all appear on regular shows. Of course, we appear on the round table after Zack show. So we do this on a regular basis, but we also appear on each other's shows. I know Jeff has appeared a couple of times on my show. A couple of other folks have appeared on my show as well. So we have a number of folks that appear. As a matter of fact, Dr. Anthony and Kim, and I am not always the most morning person, but I promised Mr. Mike with the Mind Closet that I was going to wake up, I think it's on Friday, and be on his show early. So I will be on the Mind Closet. I actually believe it's this weekend. I think it's just coming Friday. So he asked me to appear because he has a guest that he wants me to engage in the conversation with. So I am usually a later in the morning person, but I promised Mother Mike that I would take that opportunity to appear on that show. So I am looking forward to it, and I know that it'll be an engaging conversation. I hate that Ankit bounced off, because what I was getting ready to tell him is that I like to find both with that dinner theater mystery guest. I like to find somebody from the United States, but I also like to find somebody international. So for the one this week, I think I'm going to try to find somebody from India. And I hate to tell Ankit, but it's not going to be Gandhi, because I like to find folks that they have to guess. So I'm going to try to find somebody political or cultural wise.
I got one for you, but he's alive. Shadow Khan. That
would get it. But you know, he's always talking about that. That one might be too easy for Ankit. I might have to find the number 2 or the number 3 star in Bollywood as opposed to Shah Rukh Khan, because he's always mentioning Shah Rukh Khan. So that might be a little too easy. But I agree. I'm gonna find somebody out of the Bollywood community or one of those other communities. And of course, definitely I'm getting ready to put on Lynn's thing about the dollar store, because we do want our sponsor to get their just dues as well. And then we'll get ready to wrap everything up, because I know I want to bounce off and catch a little bit of what Alexandria's got to say about the music business. And then both me and Kim will be sitting over there just trying to figure out what those two guys are doing. We're talking upstream. Dr. Anthony, you've got to learn, you've got to pop in there as well, because they love to get comments from folks on YouTube and the other platforms. So you need to watch them as they create these TV shows, these sitcoms, or these other kind of creative platforms. But they like to get comments from us, and they like to play us out and everything.
It's just funny to watch them whiteboard a TV show, right? Or video game.
I will have to do it. I can't do it today. I have to drive my nephews back to their mom today. So I will do it, most definitely.
The kids will love it. Any kid who plays video games, because that's what they do, is mostly superheroes.
Right.
Okay.
Not all of their shows are about superheroes. And all their video games are superheroes. So the kids will love it if you get a chance to get them to watch it. Because now you can text me to go, no, let the superhero do this. you see Mark and I, we're the worst. Like,
Don't do that. Have them do this. We are.
Yeah, I want that girl to have a lipstick in her purse and it comes out and it does that.
Or.
But the kids, I think kids, if you get them to watch it, because they are about positive, healthy things, it's not about all of those dangerous things. And again, and that's the other thing, the reason why I like Gamers Den, that they are really focused on, not just the dangerous stuff. They're really focused on the good, healthy mindset games. So. But I know I hate to leave. I love visiting with everyone. This is like my Sunday afternoon visit, right?
Right.
Michael Anthony is always, we're going to have to get together in real life, but I hope you join the wine party. And
thank you.
Yes.
Yep. So we're get ready to bring up the dollar.
I'm ready to go Streetport. So
Streetport.
Yeah, I got to take the kids back. They have school tomorrow.
Oh, Streetport. That's a drive.
Yeah, it's like about an hour and 15 minutes away from here.
Long road drive, or are you taking the highway?
No, I'm taking the highway, the interstate.
Yeah,
because we can do 80 on the interstate, so I'll get there in no time.
I like the country roads, but what I found is, especially when I travel by myself as a woman, that sometimes the cell towers don't work, and so that's
exactly.
Safe. It's not very safe. So,
and in Louisiana, on the back, I call them the backwoods, backwoods roads. It's not traveled as much. And so if you have like a flat or something like that, you are like right next to the swamp, and it's no telling what might not come out of there. Right. And so I'm not going that way. So I'm going to take the interstate. So if something happened, I'm right on the interstate. I'm not near, the swamp or anything like that. And I can
talk. Your phone works. I've been to Louisiana before. I know the phone don't always work in the back roads like you call them. I call them the back roads too here. So.
Yeah, we got back roads in North Carolina as well. And Dr. Anthony, is Shreveport still as much of a depressed community as it used to be? Because I remember a long time ago had applied for a job at the Shreveport Daily newspaper, and to be perfectly honest, that was the one job that I applied for that I was glad that I did not get it, because when I went down there for the interview, I was not all that impressed with the kind of had like a industrial kind of flavor, kind of like what Pittsburgh is, or the way I remember Pittsburgh.
To a certain degree, yeah, but I mean, if you have family, family makes everything, pop or whatever. Because I'm the same way when I'm in DC. I'm just like, oh, it's boring. It's really not a whole lot to do. But when I'm here, it's always, family. We're doing this, we're doing that. It's cookouts, sometimes like at midnight, oh, we're making gumbo, come over. You know what I'm saying? Like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, so it just depends. So if you have your family with you, then, anything is exciting. But, I'm not real fond of Shreveport anyway, but, we have a lot of family up there. So we're always in Shreveport. So it's okay.
It's all right. I understand. By the way, Kim, don't ever go someplace or move someplace because you think that you want to move there because you're moving close to somebody. Because I remember a long time ago, I think it was maybe almost
nothing is close. Ago,
I moved to Boca Raton, Florida, thinking that I was in the middle of still single even to this day. But I thought I was pursuing a young lady, and I went to Boca Raton thinking I was living or getting close to Miami. Guess what, folks? Boca Raton and Miami are not that close together. They are a long way away. So I remember calling her up going like, hello, I'm here. She's like, where's here? I'm like, Boca Raton. She's like, no, you're still about several hundred miles away. I'm like, drats. So I did not stay long. So I came on back home to North Carolina. I think I had that job for maybe about 5 or 6 months. But yeah, I was highly disappointed. Thought I was getting closer to a lady love, and it was not happening because I was still hundreds of miles away.
Wow, what a big heart you have. You would never see me do that. So, nope, not going to happen.
Not this lifetime.
You know, I don't even travel anymore right now anyway. Hopefully that will change. I was traveling 85% of the year before all of this hit. I'm actually getting some rest, and I'm scared that when the world opens up again, I don't want to step out my front door. So, you know, but I will probably get back in that mode again, but not 85% of the year. So I will not do that again. That part will change. But we do need to wrap.
Yeah, we're getting to wrap right now. The last thing I was going to say before bringing up before bringing up Lynn and the Dollar Store, and his announcement was that, speaking of travel, don't forget that you can also catch About Travel right here on IBM.TV, because we've got Brandon's show where he talks about travel and gives you some great advice on how to get around travel. He's actually a big fan of the road trip right now, because he's thinking that a lot of folks will not be doing international travel. So I know he's been talking about that road trip and folks making the road trips on a regular basis. So definitely there's all kinds of amazing shows right here on IBM.TV. So if you're not aware of them, go to the website, check them out, and just become a fan of a number of these shows. Because like I say, there's always great shows. You can actually subscribe to the IBM.TV YouTube page, as well as to a number of the shows have their individual YouTube pages as well. Because I know Talking Upstream has one. I know that Brandon has one. I have one. There's a couple of others that have ones as well. So there are a number of ways that you can become engaged with this great network and the amazing things that they are doing on a regular basis. But right now, let's find out what our sponsors got to say from the Dollar Store.
Hi, my name is Lynn Shepard. Our family owns an online dollar store, family.dollarstore.com. We have over 4,300 items on our site, quality items, and a lot less expensive than you might find wherever you're shopping, including on Amazon. We deliver for free if you spend $25 or more. And we also have a gift token program. Now, gift tokens are just like gift cards that you would get to shop at CVS, Target, Macy's, or a lot of other stores. And when you sign up to become a customer, you immediately get $5 worth of gift tokens to be able to use before you even make your very first purchase. So we encourage you to sign up to become a customer. We are here because we are supporting a not-for-profit, Money Masters PBS. Money Masters PBS owns IBM TV. Now, the mission of Money Masters PBS is to narrow the gap between poverty and financial sustainability.
Yes, that was another amazing show, and definitely some great and engaging conversation. And we will see you again next week, right after Funk Music with Zack. He's always on Sundays between the hours of 12 and 1. And then we have this great roundtable after the fact. So always an amazing conversation, and always glad to have these amazing guests. So it's glad to have our various doctors on, as well as members of the staff as well. So definitely it was a great conversation, and we look forward to seeing y'all again next week. Like I said, I will be joining y'all on tomorrow at the radio show with Mark Lee, and I'm hoping that I'll be joined by Ira David Woods, a very talented theater person from here in North Carolina, as well as some musicians. And I know that I'll have a musician joining me from California on the show entitled Mullins Music and Memories, and that's at 4:00 on tomorrow afternoon. So definitely some great programming that'll be coming your way, and we look forward to many of y'all joining us right back here at IBM.TV.